The sky is no longer the limit. It's the arena where victory is forged. Today, Air Education and Training Command is not just welcoming the first T-7A Red Hawk, but ushering in a new era of pilot training. One utilizing cutting-edge technology to achieve unparalleled pilot proficiency and readiness, and decisive air dominance. In a world of evolving threats, every second counts. The future of Air Force pilot training starts right now.
Hey everybody, welcome inside Hangar 41 here at historic Joint Base San Antonio Randolph, the show place of the Air Force and proud home of Headquarters Air Education and Training Command. I'm Dan Hawkins with the 1st Command Public Affairs Office. Thrilled to have you with us on this Friday afternoon as we celebrate a truly historic moment, the arrival of the very first of 351 planned 5th generation T-7A Red Hawk trainers. With a modern design and advanced capabilities, the T-7A will accelerate the development of highly skilled aviators and help the Air Force achieve its pilot production goal of 1,500 pilots per year. More than just numbers, this aircraft strengthens overall readiness, giving the Air Force the agility and confidence to respond whenever and wherever our nation calls. Red Hawk also pays tribute to the trailblazing Tuskegee Airmen who broke barriers and set the standard for excellence during World War II. And the aircraft also propels the future of undergraduate pilot training into a new era. Early last month, the T-7A began its journey. Tail number APT-05 took off from the Boeing facility in St. Louis, Missouri, taking pit stops at 2 of the aircraft's future destinations, Vance Air Force Base in Enid, Oklahoma, and Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas, and finally arriving here December 5th, landing at Joint Base San Antonio Randolph, marking really a pivotal moment in the history of Air Education and Training Command. Delighted now to be joined by Brigadier General Matt Leard. He's the director at AETC for Plans, Programs, Requirements, and International Affairs. His team instrumental in the development of the future of undergraduate pilot training program and bringing this T-7 home. Sir, how are you?
Good, Dan. Thanks for having me. It's an exciting day. As I was watching the reel, I was getting blood pressure was flowing, which I don't really need, but excited to see the T-7 here in person. It's been here for a little while, but we're actually going to celebrate its official arrival.
So what does the arrival of the T-7A Red Hawk for not only the Air Force but AETC as we continue to modernize our pilot training?
You know, I think I flash back to, as a captain in the Pentagon, we were talking about TX, which was the T-38 replacement program back then. And I was shocked to then fast forward to Wing Command as we were celebrating the signing of the contract in 2018. And so fast forward now, 7 years plus later, we're finally getting the first aircraft at an operational base. And so I think this is the first tangible, visual thing for the enterprise, that this program that we've been working so hard on for so long, we finally have an airplane at an operational base, and thus is the process of scaling this out and eventually training pilots for the United States Air Force and our international partners.
And it really is something about seeing it live. That's so cool. But the T-38 Talon has been serving with distinction for a really long time, back to the 1960s.
Yeah.
What made it now the time we absolutely just need the transition?
Well, I would say 20 years ago we needed the transition, but better late than never. We are going to do this. We're working as hard as we can. You mentioned the T-38. There's several tail numbers here that are 58 models. And so when you think about, when I often remind myself is that the T-38 is actually closer in age to the Wright Flyer than it is to the T-7. And it's been doing an amazing job for a number of decades. My dad, who is now in an assisted living facility, was a crew chief on the T-38. It's been doing amazing training for this nation for a long time and has been incredibly successful. But for that next fight, it is time to bring on an airplane that better trains future pilots on the things that we will need them to be prepared to operate in that future fifth and sixth gen environment.
Yeah, the T-38, a second generation jet. I mean, Dayton training guys in Vietnam, it's just been a really long time. But you know, you look at the T-7, but it's not just the shiny outside. There's a lot of important capability upgrades. What is it about the T-7 that really hits home that training for fifth and future sixth generation jets?
Well, there's a lot of aspects to the T-7. I would say it's really it's an open platform. I think of it a lot as sort of the latest iPhone. It's going to be good for a long time. It's going to get software flashes. It's going to increase in capability as we go. What we're getting today is an aircraft with plenty of power, with plenty of maneuverability. It's an all-glass cockpit that really is a blank slate for us to add capability over time, and really does prepare all of our pilots. It still prepares them for fourth gen, but really prepares them for the fifth gen follow-on, and then eventually for sixth gen aircraft, that as we still explore exactly what that looks like.
And it's not only the cockpits, but I know General Quinn talks about how, you know, weapons employment is really a really important thing that we should be training pilots for, and the T-7A will allow us to do that.
Yeah, the mix of a really robust ground-based training system that actually can communicate with the aircraft in flight, so you can do that live virtual constructive, you can do simulated weapons, all of those sorts of things. And again, that can evolve over time as we need it to. It really becomes down to is how do we train while we still train the sort of the motor skills of flying an airplane. How do we train those mental processes to do that sensor integration in real time, that it really is the future of warfare.
Thinking about fourth and fifth generation jets, I mean, we're already talking about sixth generation coming online with the B-21, the F-47, just a lot of different things. So what is it that the T-7 will be? You talked about that iPhone analogy, but how will that look maybe in the future as you look 10 years from now?
Well, you know, future-proof is kind of a loaded term, but it is a lot more future-proof in our current enterprise for sure. And as we, again, start to explore what those sixth-generation capabilities look like, I think they're a lot closer than what you referenced. We're definitely getting there with F-47 and B-21. That's when we will then, as a training enterprise, begin to understand what exactly we need to bring into this airplane to better prepare our pilots to fly those aircraft into the future.
The T-7 is part of a larger family of systems that has a lot of new simulators, training technology. How does that integration from the ground-based training simulators and all of that work together to make this a better platform?
I think, you know, historically we've looked at flying hours in the airplane, and those are still important, but side by side with that is the technology that you can do on the ground. How do you build those competencies in the way on the ground and link those together through the live virtual constructive? So I can fly formation in a simulator with a live aircraft to still understand all the complexities of that. And so that ground-based training system that we are putting as much focus into, that we've had delivery here already at Randolph, that just is part of the overall enterprise. When you think about, it's a spectrum of devices. There are devices that go all the way from the iPad all the way up to the aircraft. Each one of those designed to train a certain competency to get to an overall end product. That's really what we're shooting for.
Getting closer to the T-7 arrival ceremony here at Joint Base San Antonio Randolph. Dan Hawkins here with Brigadier General Matt Leard. He's our Director of Plans, Programs, Requirements, and International Affairs. But, sir, when you look at this program overall and you look at the partnerships that it took to get us here, that list is long. But what does it say about us, you know, the need to do acquisition faster and build towards solutions that get us to where we need to be faster?
Yeah, thanks, Dan, for asking that. I really, I would be remiss if I did not thank our partners, both in terms of the program office and at Boeing. Boeing is producing this aircraft for our airmen. a year or two ago, this was not where anybody wanted it to be, but it's been the partnership over the last two years to a year and a half. Really everybody deciding we're going to have to do what it takes to get this thing delivered and get it in the hands of our instructors as fast as possible. And that partnership really has allowed us to break the mold on normal contract acquisition of weapons systems and get this thing moving in a rapid manner. And just to be frank, we're not out of the woods yet. There is a lot of work still required between now and August of 27, when initial operation capability will be declared here at Randolph, and then early 28 when we will start training pilots at Columbus Air Force Base. There's a lot of work to be done, but I think that partnership is the key to getting us there.
And I think you bring up a great point, and if you could expand on a little bit, just kind of the big picture roadmap to what does this thing look like? Yes, today it's showing up at Randolph, but like you said, there's still a long way to go. What does that look like?
Yeah. So this is the first delivery at Randolph. We will continue to get deliveries, and that will pick up pace. Between now and about a year and a half from now, we'll get about 14 to 16 aircraft here. And we will start doing IOT&E, initial operation test and evaluation. That's when we put the aircraft in the hands of instructors and start wringing it out from does it actually do the training that we need it to do to be successful? Once we have 14 aircraft and we can actually start that training is the basic criteria for initial operating capability here at Randolph. Then we will rapidly change to building out the instructor corps that will become the foundation of Columbus Air Force Base, which is the first pilot training base that will get it. So Randolph will remain our pilot instructor training center of excellence. They'll do the pit training, which is where our instructors learn, and then we'll shift to pilot training at Columbus. And so I measure progress in terms of when are we going to start the first student training sortie. Because from now till then, it's sort of all the activities that are required to get to that first student training sortie. And so we got to get all this stuff done. It's important. We got to make sure the aircraft's safe, flyable, meets all of our requirements. But until we get to training that first student, we're not successful yet on this program.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't really realize the logistical tail that includes, I mean, just training maintainers to be able to work on the plane, you know, in line with General Wilsbach's fly, fight, fix, and win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're starting kind of right now. We're looking at that.
Yeah, so AP5, first aircraft delivery. We'll probably, if the weather holds out, we'll get another aircraft delivery next week here, AP3. What that will allow us to do is have a dedicated aircraft trainer for conducting maintenance training here at Randolph. So the maintainers will start the process of learning the aircraft, learning how to do execute their TOs, start learning how to generate the aircraft, launch the aircraft, recover the aircraft. At the same time, we're going to start getting some sorties flown on AP5. Slow at first, start letting the pilots start ringing out the aircraft. Eventually, here in a year or so from now, we'll have enough pilots trained through what's called Type 1 training, get that basic level of training, enough of the maintainers trained that we can start running operations here at Randolph.
And you've been in the flying business for a while. What are some of the feedback that you've gotten from the few Air Force pilots and even the Boeing test pilots who've had the opportunity to fly this plane?
Yeah, everybody that has flown the airplane loves the airplane, right? We have not ever bought an airplane that went smooth or as fast as we wanted.
Fair.
But in terms of the airplane flying, the flying characteristics, the power, the avionics, everybody raves about it. Everybody wants it. It's going to be a winning platform for the Air Force. We just need them as fast as possible. And I do believe the students that we train in the T-7 will be a better product for the Air Force in the future operating environments.
I want to pause just for a second and kind of go to that historical aspect. The Red Hawk name honors the Tuskegee Airmen, wonderful legacy dating back to World War II. Can you kind of talk about that? You've been obviously an Air Force aviator your whole career, but that historical context means so much.
Yeah, you know, anytime I take over an organization, I always find it very useful to communicating to the enterprise on exactly what our linkages are back in history. And that provides both context and perspective to the enterprise on what is the enterprise that we're operating in today, and what does this look like over time. So the opportunity to really bring the T-7 under the Tuskegee Airmen historical and into the 99th Pursuit Squadron, now training squadron, right off the bat is certainly grounds this whole enterprise in the historical perspective. And I think provides a lot of motivation. That has, obviously been brought into the paint scheme, which is fantastic. It will always be the red tail for the T-7. So I don't know. I couldn't have come up with a better linkage historically.
See the model right here on our desk. I mean, just a beautiful aircraft. Now, the plane hasn't started taxiing over yet, so hopefully you have another couple minutes to hang out with me.
Yeah. Hopefully they got it cranked up and we can get over here. If I need to get out and push it, I will.
Uh-oh, they're talking about the ceremony is going to be beginning soon. So I guess we'll wrap, sir, with this question. Knowing how hard your team has worked and how hard the 12th Flying Training Wing has worked, our partners with Boeing, AFMC, just everybody, a day like this, the importance to not only the training enterprise but the Air Force just can't be overemphasized enough, I think.
No, I think it's really important for us to have these opportunities to celebrate accomplishments. But I also know the work ahead to get this to where we need to be. So the team will pause, celebrate, and then we're going to get right back to work on making sure that we get these aircraft in the numbers, the quantities, and at the rate that we need to train the pilots for the future fight. That future fight's coming. We don't know when. The only thing we can do right now, between now and then, is train the most and best airmen that we can for that fight.
Well, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to stop by, and thank you for all that you've done to make this happen.
All right, thanks, Dan.
So that was Brigadier General Matt Lear, the Director of AETC's Plans, Programs, Requirements, and International Affairs. We're going to send it out to this video to look at the foundation of the future of undergraduate pilot training, the T-7A Red Hawk.
As part of receiving the jet, the Air Force pilot, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Trott, Commander, 99th Flying Training Squadron, will present a T-7A patch to the Acting Vice Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Scott Ployce. When Charles Buster Hall became the first Tuskegee Airman to shoot down an enemy aircraft, he was welcomed back upon landing with an ice-cold bottle of Coca-Cola in celebration, a rarity and likely the only one in the wartime Mediterranean theater. Today, the 99th continues this tradition, celebrating great achievements with a Coke bottle. To honor this long-standing tradition, Lieutenant General Quinn will present a Coke bottle to Lieutenant Colonel Trott. Please stand for the arrival of the official party, playing of musical honors, and the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our distinguished guests. Lieutenant General Scott Ployce, Acting Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force, and his spouse, Jennifer. Lieutenant General Clark Quinn, Commander, Air Education and Training Commands. Chief Master Sergeant Chad Bickley, Command Chief, Air Education and Training Command, and his spouse, Nikki. Mr. Daniel Gillian, Vice President, Boeing Air Defense. General Janet Wolfelbarger, United States Air Force retired, and her spouse, Colonel Wolf Wolfenbarger, United States Air Force, retired. Mr. Tom Maxwell, Mayor of Universal City, and his spouse, Cheryl. Miss Lisa Swint, Mayor of the City of Garden Ridge. Mr. Al Suarez, Mayor of the City of Converse. Miss Mary Dennis, Mayor of the City of Live Oak, and Mr. Anais Garfawi. Mr. Diego Morales Ferrari and Mr. Ramondo Salinas from the office of Joaquin Castro. Mr. Hayden Davis from the office of Texas State Senator Donna Campbell. Although time does not permit us to introduce all of our distinguished guests, we extend a warm welcome to all general officers, industry partners, community leaders, commanders, directors, and command chiefs and families. A special welcome to the men and women of the 99th Flying Training Squadron who will fly this training aircraft.
on this program. It's no secret that we've had our challenges, but we're making real and meaningful progress represented by the airplane behind me. We made a commitment to deliver this jet to you on the 5th of December, and despite the weather, we did just that, and the ground-based training system as well. We're leveraging a true partnership between the Air Force and Boeing, and I'd really like to thank Rod Stevens, my partner and PEO, for a focus on active management and delivering for the warfighter. This is an example of how Boeing Defense is making strides in our performance for the U.S. government, and it's an example of how we can and should all work together to deliver for the warfighter. I'm proud that the work together has paid off and brought us here today for this event. I'm really proud of the women and men of the Boeing Company for all your great work to make this happen. Great job and well done. Thank you for having us today, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Gillian. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Acting Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force, Lieutenant General Scott Ployce.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and I would like to echo the warm welcome to all the civic leaders, retired general officers, members of the Boeing team, all of the people from Randolph, the 99th Squadron, the 12th Maintenance Squadron, but we are truly honored to have the representatives of the Tuskegee Airmen here today. It really means a lot. This is truly tying together the fabric of our Air Force, so thank you very much for joining us. Also, thank you to Boeing and Mr. Gillian for delivering the airplane. It has been an absolute wonder to watch as we've gone from clean sheet design all the way through to an airplane that's sitting at Randolph Air Force Base and is ready to start flying. You know, back in the 1980s, the United States Air Force made a decision based on geopolitical dynamics that we would never need to produce more than 1,000 pilots a year. And that decision was codified when we closed Williams Air Force Base and Reese Air Force Base. We have now come into a new world. We have come into a new threat, and now we are tasked again to produce 1,500 pilots a year, and that is General Quinn's charge. What we are trying to do now is take innovation, take new technologies, and build better fighter pilots. General Quinn and the team at AETC have delivered on that, and for the first time ever since the 1980s, we are going to start producing 1,500 student pilots a year. The next generation of training is going to also require a brand new platform, and that is the T-7 Red Hawk. My own experience in the airplane is limited to the simulator. But that being said, it's an amazing airplane. I've talked to the people that have flown it. I've flown the airplane in the simulator myself. This is the airplane that we need to get us to the next level. Our 5th and 6th generation assets have different training needs, and the T-7 is the right training aircraft to get us there. I'm really excited on the fact that this is not just a slow, fast T-37, T-38, T-6, T-38 airplane. This airplane can do it all. We can pull at more Gs. We can go at higher angles of attack. It will allow our brand new student pilots to learn task management the way a 5th and 6th generation fighter pilot is being trained in the F-35, the F-22, and eventually the F-47. I'm also super impressed with the fact that the T-7 has operations at night. Completely NVG compatible. Most of the missions that we do on an operational basis is done at night, and we have to train better at in that paradigm. Lastly, the digital design of the T-7 gives us an unbelievable opportunity. Imagine the ability for you, if you found out what training jet you were going to go to, we could mimic that in the display itself. The T-7 can deliver and meet our future needs. Finally, the T-7 also has proved one last thing, and that is that when we are allowed to move fast in the acquisition program, if we truly revolutionize the way we do acquisition in the U.S. military, we can get new assets faster into the hands of warfighters. We've partnered with industry over these past few years to make the platforms we need delivered on time so that we can win our nation's war. Over the next year, I'm very excited to see how Boeing, AETC, AFMC will continue to work together to refine the T-7 in developmental test so that we can get this in the hands of our instructor pilots, and more importantly, we can put brand new UPT students in it. Boeing, Saab, AFMC, the test community, 12th Fighter Training Wing, the 99th Fighter Training Squadron, and the 12th Maintenance Group, you have done a lot of work to get us here, and I can't thank you enough. To the 12th Training Wing, the 99th Flying Training Squadron, you also have done a lot of work. But more importantly, it is your job now to continue the heritage of the Tuskegee Airmen and that red tail. The nation needs us to hold and take the future. Take this new tool in the T-7 and make the Air Force ready to fly, fix, and fight our nation's wars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Ployce. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing and singing of the Air Force song and remain standing for the departure of the official party. This concludes today's ceremony. We invite everyone to come forward to view and tour our newest trainer aircraft, the T-7A Red Hawk. The line will form to your right. Please allow our distinguished guests to proceed. As a reminder, the 12th Flying Training Wing and the 99th Flying Training Squadron will be at the Par O Club celebrating the first Friday in Auger Inn. Please feel free to join them. Thank you for attending today's ceremony and have a great day.